The first few months of college, I earned enough money to pay the rest of my tuition for until I graduated by just trading stocks for a couple of months. And then I made a mistake that made me give it up completely. So when I first got into college, I had $750 in life savings. And so I took the savings and just started playing around with it a bit because I had a steady job, I had a scholarship, and so I put it into the stock market because I was studying finance and I had taken some accounting classes and I thought it would be fun to apply what I was learning, reading financial statements. And so as I was trading stocks, first handful of trades that I made were a handful of dollars, $10, $20 trades. Started getting into $100, $200 trades and feeling more comfortable. And this was the dawn of automated trading online and having a computer in a dorm room. This 20 years ago, it felt great being able to do this on my own. And as I got into it, I started having some success where I made a few trades that increased my amount of cash by 20, 30%. And as I was getting more and more trades, I was growing in my confidence and thinking that I was really good at this, reading the financial statements and seeing how it was not aligned, the price of the stock versus the value of the company. And there was one particular day that I uh, placed a sell order on a set of companies that I had bought. And I came back from class and it had sold. I doubled my money almost immediately. And I got really excited. And so I was like, okay, I figured this out. You just purchase some things and then you just set the sell order. So I did that again and purchased the same stock and set a sell order for it. That was 5 or 6 times what it was. And I'm like, this won't hit, but I'll just hold on to it because it's going to be worth a lot. Well, um, through these series of trades that had been going up and down. So I sold when it was high, bought when it was low, and I was very confident in myself. And sure enough, within a month, the stock spiked again. A company was being bought, and for 5 or 6 times the amount that the stock was worth. And so went from 750 and had slowly tripled my money. And at this stage, had gotten to the point where I earned enough money to pay for the rest of my tuition. And with that, I was feeling really confident in myself, having a series of wins under my belt. And so in my trading account, I woke up one morning and it showed $3 million. And I, my mind was just racing at this point. I'm like, where did this money come from? What? And so I just tested it out. Like, can I make trades with this cash in my bank account or my stock trading account? And sure enough, I could trade. And so I just started making a handful of trades, ended up doing about $300,000 worth of volume and over the course of an hour or two. And this was all when the markets had just opened before my classes started. And so I had made a few thousand in profit already. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to class today. I'm just trading stocks. And after a couple hours, my account was shut down and I uh, didn't know what was going on. I was very young and naive and I thought I was going to jail. And so I was really worried for the rest of the day. And for the next couple of days, nothing was happening. My account was frozen. I wasn't able to make trades, but I didn't know what exactly to do. So I was like, okay, I'll just sit on this and then everything will clear. I'll have, some extra cash in the bank. Everything will be fine. And I get a call a few days later and I ask, Mr. Mackley, are you planning on covering your balance in your account? Uh, and they were using terms that I didn't know, I didn't understand. I was trading on margin is technically what was happening. They had made a mistake, obviously deposited money in my account that they shouldn't have. But that money, I guess, was counting towards margin trading. And if anyone is a trader, you know that when you're using margin, you have to cover that margin. And so if I had enough money to cover that $300,000, then I could have kept my profits, but I didn't know what was going on, didn't know how the system worked. And so after a few days, they allowed me to withdraw the money. They kind of took everything that I had traded and settled the account. And my account was frozen. I was able to withdraw though, and luckily didn't go to prison. And through that entire experience, it was very much up and down. And I learned what I wanted to do with the rest of my life was not trading stocks because I just don't have the personality to remain calm, cool, and collected through that. But it helped shape my experience as an entrepreneur, understanding how to make decisions and what actually brings value to this world. And so that's a story that I've used in my past interviews to explain how I make decisions and how my career or my educational trajectory landed me in the career of technology. And it's helped me gain that story has helped me receive offers with companies. And so the stories that you tell are really important, not only to help you to get the job in the interview, but it's about making human connection, being able to tell something about yourself or something about an important concept that you need to convey to a client or a friend or a coworker. And so the process of storytelling, being able to set the stage and capture someone's attention, pull them in, followed by is building the narrative, and going through the arc, the hero's journey, and having that problem that shows up, and then being able to get through that. And then finally at the end, when you get to the climax of the problem and there doesn't seem like a way that that problem can be resolved, um, coming in and showing that, yeah, you have the skills and the abilities and you learned how to, or even if you didn't solve the problem, that you learned how to solve the problem afterwards. So having that resolution at the end. So having those three stages, the buildup of the story, having the climax of, hey, this is the problem that occurred, and then the resolution of that problem is the process of telling a story. And during an interview, that's really all you need to do. Besides asking questions, is being able to tell short, succinct stories so that people understand who you are and the value that you can bring to the role and the company that you'll be working for. So that it does take some practice. And normally with stories, the process that I'll go through is thinking through some scenarios and writing the response of the story out. So that way you can think through the details. And when you present the story, it comes across as normal, it comes across as natural, and it's something that you can connect with people. And in every scenario, the story might adapt and fit the situation. But by writing it out and reflecting on it, you're able to make sure that it's authentic, because that's the primary thing. You want these stories to be authentic. You don't want to exaggerate, you don't want to lie. But remembering the details is really important to making it feel authentic and having it come across as a story that's natural. The remembering of the details, that's really what trips you up, and it breaks up the ability of people to follow a story. So go through that process of through the exercises that you'll see in the lesson that I've linked. Uh, Taking questions that an interviewer might ask and coming up with 3 to 4 minute stories to respond to those questions will help the interview flow smoothly and for you to gain trust and ultimately get the offer, or at least move to the next stage of the interview in that process.